I am so happy today to talk about the Beach Boys' Love You. Possibly my favorite album of all time, and also probably my favorite Beach Boys album. And wow, what a change it has been, my Beach Boys fandom, so to speak, because I grew up as like a total Beatles child, like until I was, 18. I didn't really listen to anything past the 70s. Like, I just was totally obsessed with the Beatles and like Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, Rush, big Rush fan. But I didn't really get into the Beach Boys. Like, I liked Pet Sounds. I have a really fond memory of listening to Pet Sounds on an airplane. Speaking of airplanes, there's a song called Airplane on Love You. But I was listening to the Pet Sounds album on a short trip, and like, I don't know, it just like it really clicked for me at that time. I just really loved that album, but I couldn't really get into anything else by them. So 2 years ago, just like full blown like dove right into the Beach Boys catalog and just like became obsessed. Like, I listened to like basically virtually just the Beach Boys for 2 years. It's getting a little bit better now, but particularly Love You really stuck with me. It's not hard to say why. However, I will say that it is an acquired taste. I'm chief of a album listening club, and for quote-unquote bad instruments, that was the theme of the month, I chose this one because I see a lot of complaints of people saying that the synths are like squelchy or something, just like kind of unpleasant, like, or dated. But it's actually kind of quite far ahead of its time, it seems. Like, so to backtrack a little bit, I watched an interview with Brian Wilson before this album came out, and he was going on and on about, well, at that time, Brian Wilson had become kind of a recluse, where he was not the main person behind the Beach Boys albums as he had been previously, although he was still there. But in the late 70s, there was a marketing gimmick or push of Brian's back, and this album and the previous one, 15 Big Ones, underrated. But of course I would say that. There was a big push of, it's Brian Wilson solo produced, all the songs written by Brian Wilson. And in the interview that I mentioned, he's talking about how, like, oh yeah, we never entered the studio with less than 20 people. And then the following album that comes out, it's like basically every song is done with Brian Wilson and his two brothers, Dennis and Carl. Because Mike Love and Al Jardine were doing something else around this time. I'm not the historian or anything. But Al Jardine has a lovely take on this, and of course Mike Love. Not to disparage like his contributions to the Beach Boys, because he has a really great like lead vocal on this album. But it's funny because it's like basically just like Brian Wilson's like playing all the instruments on his like Moog synth or whatever, and then he's just like using the the vocals of Carl and Dennis. And I don't know, it's just so interesting to have this album that's so singular. Like, it's from basically one person. And if you think of like Pet Sounds or Smile, before he was working with Mike Love to write songs, like Mike Love was doing all the lyrics, Brian Wilson was doing the harmonies and the compositions and whatever. The album is so punchy, and it's not punk, but it has like a punk vibe to it, the way that everything is so, well, punk is kind of like the 60s songs. They're really fast and to the point, you get to it. And this album has like the bum 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 punk edge to it in the songwriting. So there's a really interesting, I don't know, like I said, like a punk edge to it. And throughout the album, you just hear, kind of like with Today, the first half is more upbeat songs for, like, I guess, dancing or whatever, the ones that just like immediately you get. And the second half, like Today, is these kind of dreamier, more ballady songs, often sung by Brian Wilson. And also, just the lyrics are so raw and unfiltered, and I like that about it, because you get like a little bit less poetic turns of phrases and more right to the heart of what Brian Wilson was wanting to say and sing. And those lyrics touch you in a different way because they just connect with you, and oh yeah, I totally get that. Like he sings about getting up, drinking some milk. And it's not going to be too unfamiliar for people who've listened to the previous Beach Boys albums, because throughout the 70s, the Brian Wilson written songs do have that directness to them, because he's just singing exactly what he's feeling. And it's nice, it's lovely. The album art, wonderful, amazing. It looks like one of those like glow, bright light kind of toys. It's just gorgeous. It's beautiful. It doesn't get much better than that. The back, you see the boys themselves. Lovely, lovely. And on the insert, of course, you got the band playing live, which apparently Al Jardine is playing with Brian Wilson's Pet Sounds band since Brian Wilson passed away, and he's doing like all the Love You songs, which is so cool. Al Jardine right there. Anyway, here, lovely. Brian, his wife, Marilyn, at the time. To Brian, whom we love with all our hearts. So I just want to shout out a couple of the best songs on here. You have the kind of famous Brian Wilson songwriting tick of Ding Dang, which is a total bop for one whole minute. And this melody, or this like riff, kind of pops up here and there throughout the later Beach Boys like catalog, particularly on Shortin' and Bread, which, by the way, this riff is not like totally unique, but it's just really fun. And you hear it in Brian Wilson's solo album as well, Brian Wilson. And there's an interview in like the 90s or 2000s or something where someone asked Brian Wilson, like, is there any song that particularly speaks to you, that you just love with all your heart? And he's like, no, not really. But here, let me play something for you. And he was playing Ding Dang. So it's just kind of like a meme at this point. And that's great. On side 2, it's got like the best of the best, in my opinion. The Night Was So Young, which years ago, like 15 years ago, someone showed it to me, and I loved it. It's just gorgeous. It was like immediately like top 10 Beach Boys song. And the other songs didn't really connect with me. So it's interesting that this one connected with me at that time. And if you ask some Beach Boys fan who's not obsessed with this era, they will always say like, oh yeah, I don't really care for this album, but I love The Night Was So Young. So it's just kind of generally widely accepted that this song is amazing. The Night Was So Young feels like, if you like Pet Sounds, it kind of feels really strongly like that era, but made like 10 years later. It's also got like even better, I think, I'll Bet He's Nice, which if you listen to the demos of this song, you can hear Mike Love during the bridge going like, oh, like he's like really impressed with this song. And also reminds me of that kind of like sad sack, Pet Sounds vibe. I'm a really, really big fan. I think this is my favorite of all time of this album. Let's Put Our Hearts Together, which is kind of a duet with Marilyn, his wife. It's just gorgeous. It's like, doesn't matter, the lyrics are talking about like, doesn't matter like about your past. We're gonna work together to make the best love we can, I guess. It's a gorgeous melody, a gorgeous song. Anyway, I just wanted to bring this up. I just want to talk about this album for a minute because it's just one of the best. This is my sole, perhaps only ever, Discogs purchase. I saw that it was here in Korea, and it's like an original 1977, version. So it's just like you can't feel it through the video, but the cover just feels so good. I don't know what you call it, matte. It's not slick like other records. It feels so nice in your hands, and it's gorgeous. It's one of the best ever. If you haven't heard it, you gotta. I made a full album cover of it as well, which I'm very proud of. Actually, somebody called me. I was not considering this a bad comment or compliment, but I was told, like, oh yeah, you're the Beach Boys cover musician. I was like, all right. If people like my version of it, it's pretty good. I like it. It's one of the best things I made. So, Beach Boys, love you. Keep on rocking in the fizz world. Until next time.